The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the show. Well, folks, the transfer portal is officially closed for new entries, with the exception of probably just, a couple names that'll trickle in, here and there over the course of the next couple days as paperwork is finally processed. But for the most part, guys, it's a wrap, which means the final pool of potential pickups is known. And frankly, it's a dud. I don't know that I'm going to be able to oversell the dramatics on this one. By far, hands down, the least exciting final day of a portal window that we have witnessed since portal season really became a thing. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Disappointing, honestly. I'm not going to lie. I stayed up waiting for this thing to close before I recorded because I was like, man, the final wave of big names that'll come through, we'll be able to talk about it. Who's the fit? Oh, this makes sense. Nah, not really, man. I mean, just pretty low on drama. The fact that I'm still awake and I waited this out feels kind of stupid in hindsight. But hey, here we are. The biggest name to enter the portal here on D-Day was one of our own. I mean, maybe one other name that you could call a big fish, and we'll get into it. And in fairness, it's maybe a little over dramatic, but a few, I think, new, really solid role player options, contributor options that are available now. But that's about it. Usually this is a day that's got a lot of fireworks, and it just kind of fizzled, honestly, this time, which surprises me a little bit. But nonetheless, here we are. So what we're going to do this morning is roll through the final list of those potential difference makers, the needle movers, the big fish, whatever you want to call them. We'll go through the newest names that came available late the last couple days of the portal here, who are, just known commodities, or if they check that quote unquote fit box for Arkansas. We'll talk about this fifth year situation a little bit, because that could create what I think is a tidal wave later this summer if it passes. And then the plan moving forward the next several days, because we're not going to continue to get the new names that are coming available and everything. The portal's closed. Guys can commit whenever, but what you see is what you get at this point. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. So next several days to close out the month, just give everybody an idea of what we're looking at. And because we're playing the long game here with Arkansas, it's like we said yesterday, not expecting any moves quickly necessarily, at least anything of note. So it might be a little while as things play out. They're going to be patient, weigh their options, make sure they find the right fit. They're not in a hurry, I would say, to fully finalize things, right? So what we're going to do is just kind of recap every potential depth piece that we've identified that we feel like makes sense as a fit. Excuse me. If Arkansas winds up, adding a depth piece or two late, if they can't get a big fish, whatever it might be, I want that person to be somebody that we've talked about in depth. That's my goal here. We're going to get into the weeds of the international market, which will be a new venture for me and for the listeners of this show, because I honestly would not be surprised at all to see Arkansas dip its toe into those waters. Would not be surprised one bit. They already have with Kareem Rattel, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him do it again. We're going to see if we can identify any of those very back end of the roster kind of additions, the walk-ons who aren't really walk-ons because they get scholarships, as John Kelly Perry refers to them. I think we might already be on to one of those. We'll talk about that in a day or two here. We'll start doing some roster comps around the SEC, see how Arkansas stacks up. We'll look ahead to the 2026 class because the grassroots season is finally upon us. Identify those new targets, the future, right? And guys, when the calendar flips to May, we've got some awesome stuff lined up and planned just to keep this party rolling all summer, and then to get into next season that I'm super, super excited about being able to share with you, being able to roll out, trying some new things, broadening her horizons, expanding the coverage. It's going to be fun. But before we get rolling today, though, you guys already know, right? Shout out to our partners at the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas, who I'm looking forward to going and visiting Friday morning. After me and the pregnant wife go do a baby checkup Friday morning, going to head over there and talk to them, get fitted, get ready for my specs. I'm looking forward to that. Finally got the time to do it now that portal season is over for the most part. There's still 2,000 available guys out there or whatever, but while that window is open, you got to be locked in, man. Got to be locked in. I wasn't ready to break in the new bad boys, but now I am. I'm excited to go get them. And if you need some glasses, you need contacts, or you have them and you're tired of them, you're trying to get rid of them, go see the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas. We've talked about them every single day here, and there's a reason why. It's because you need to go check them out. You do. Your vision's essential to your quality of life. Professional eye care is a must for you and your family. They've got you covered. Award-winning eye doctors. They're board certified and professionally active, yet their patients talk most about how caring and friendly they are from the moment you walk in the door to the moment you walk out of it. Right now, they offer that custom cataract surgery and custom refractive lens exchange surgery inside their clinic location in Fayetteville. Remember that RLE. It's for people 40 years or older who are struggling with that near vision. They want to get rid of the glasses. They're tired of wearing the contacts, but they're not candidates for LASIK. The Eye Center will give you free screenings if you want to check it out. See if you qualify for it. Give them a call, 479-442-2020. Check out the website, www.eyecenternwa.com. And we're also brought to you by our friends over at Basis Health. Now, you guys know the drill. When we talk Basis Health, what's it all about? They're changing the way that healthcare is provided because they're providing it in the comfort of your own home. They'll come to you. You don't have to make an appointment, go see the doctor, go out there, get in the waiting room, hang out. No, they'll come to you. Doctor visits, primary care, urgent care, IV hydration, and more. They will come out and take care of you there. Make sure you check out Basis Health. They've got it figured out. But anytime we talk about Basis Health, what are we really doing? It's the vibe check, right? And that's a good way for us to get started here. Like I said at the top of the show, the biggest fish that's swimming in the portal sea on the last day is your own. It's a razorback with gills that's swimming around. It's Boogie Fland. Entered the transfer portal on Tuesday while making it clear, by the way, that he is 100% focused on and planning to remain in the NBA draft. And I suspect that's what he's going to wind up doing. Andrew and I did like a half-hour reaction to it in the moment right after it happened. So go back and check that out if you want to. It's on our YouTube channel. Smart move by Boogie to keep all of his options open. You never know what the draft feedback is going to look like. Most agents recommending that their clients do this exact same thing. You've seen a lot of folks do it. Not overly surprised that it happened. Now, John Calipari released that statement, saying he believes that Boogie is a first-round pick. He supports him, all that good stuff. My strong hunch is that Boogie's going to remain in the draft, but I'm curious, it's a vibe check. How does that make you feel that he entered the transfer portal, even if you know the reasons behind it? Did that hit you some type of way? And then let me ask you this. If he did, by chance, slim chance, but if it happened, wind up back in college next season, not in a Razorback uniform, which would most likely be the case if he did play college ball, how would that make you feel? Sad, mad, indifferent? Because on one hand, you have, new and talented guards in place. Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas coming in here, highly, highly touted freshman. DJ Wagner's back for his third season of college basketball under John Calipari. Plenty of cooks in the kitchen at the position he plays. On the other hand, you did lose a ton of your shooting, and it would feel a little bit, I don't know, unfulfilling maybe is the word, to lose Boogie to another school when you have done honestly nothing to replace guys like him and Nelly and Big Z, who are some of your best shooters outside of Malik Thomas coming in. One guy ain't replacing three, right? So I think it's 95% or higher that he's in the NBA next year. That's what he's committed to, and he means it when he says it. So I'm not going to choose to think about it too much until there's a reason to, but there's some mixed reactions in our chat when we went live to talk about it. Now that people have had a night to sleep on it and think about it, I just wonder how you feel when you woke up. That's all. Nothing crazy. Man, oh man. I cannot believe that's the biggest name that hit. But let's talk about some of the ones that did. And that's a good way to shift gears to our heavy hitters presented by HD Roofing and Construction, which, hey, talked to Garrett over there yesterday, and he's going to come out next week for a free inspection at my place. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, after all the storms and the heavy winds over the course of the weekend, it was like 4 straight days where it was crazy. The weather was nasty out there. And that's great, because I could use a little bit of peace of mind, and they provide it with that professionalism, the top quality materials, the expert installation for all of your roofing needs. Make sure you check out hdarkansas.com to get some more info. By heavy hitters today, we're talking about the potential splashes, right? The difference makers, the big fish, the studs, after the portal is closed. I expected this to take up the entire episode. It's not going to. In fact, it's going to be a pretty quick conversation because it's not any different, in my views, than the ones that we've been having this conversation. I mean, it's kind of deflating. I can't believe there wasn't more traction in the last couple of days, but this is where you're at. If you're really looking at big time impact, splashy, win the offseason type of additions, there ain't many options. There's not. And we talked about it yesterday where, this time a week ago, the plan was absolutely to, big game hunting or whatever the hell you want to call it, add another critical piece. And that can still be the plan, but it's more complicated now, and they might have to shift their focus. That's why we're going to look into the international ranks. That's where we're going to look at different tiers and different ways that they could put this roster over the top. That might not mean, just a full-on dude, because there's not that many of them. I was looking at one of the places that ranks this transfer portal stuff, and 87 of the top 100 guys are already committed. That's tough. So, and there's a lot of schools out there that are in way more desperate situations than Arkansas is. So let's talk about the most notable names that are out there. If Arkansas or anybody was to get them, boy, that would be a splash. Well, PJ Haggerty and Chad Baker-Mazara. No and no. Both passes. Let's move on. Jameer Watkins. Now, we've talked about him a ton. You guys know the drill. Florida State, big wing, big time scorer, versatile player, super athlete. To me, guys, this remains the bullseye. It does. Best player available, who is the best fit, who has connections, aka one of his teammates just signed here. And he wanted to a couple years ago, who could slide right into a role without rocking the boat, who could take this team, in my opinion, from very, very capable, but maybe a piece away to just an absolute, no doubt, bona fide Final Four contender. That's the type of addition I could see this being. Of every name mentioned here in this segment, he is the one that I'm actually paying really close attention to, watching him closely. Committed to the draft, might wind up being what he does. But if he comes back to school, Arkansas just needs to get him. You just need to get it done. He sets the roster over the top. To me, there's not a more logical fit for an impact addition that would be out there. One could argue RJ Lewis from St. John's, he would qualify. Similar in a lot of ways to Jameer Watkins, and maybe better in a lot of ways, if we're being honest. But have heard just nothing on him in terms of returning to college. Not with Arkansas even, but anyone. So he seems pretty much committed to that process. Maybe that changes over the course of the next few weeks. And, the combine's coming. Does he get an invite? How does that look? I don't know, but no need to talk about him right now because there's nothing there. Same thing with Darian Williams, hell of a player. He comes back. Honestly, might go back to Texas Tech. We've mentioned BYU. Kansas is another one with some traction there. Guys, it's really about it. That's it. 4 or 5 legit, day one starter types on a contending team. And as far as I can see, only one of them really makes a lot of sense for Arkansas there. We kind of got it narrowed down. Now I'm going to expand this list here a little bit to what I think is, your tier B or your tier 1A or whatever, just a notch below the guys that we just talked about. Guys who I think could play for you, contribute for you, and contribute to winning teams, to contending teams. Dylan Mitchell is one of them out of Cincinnati. Played at Texas as well. Elite athlete and defender, great rebounder, dunker. Not a whole lot else offensively outside of that. But at 6'8", with his athleticism, I think a guy like that would be a tremendous fit. when you have minutes to be had at the 4. Now, he's been connected to St. John's. How many players do they get, by the way? What's going on here? I heard, and he might wind up there anyway, but I heard one of the things with him is that he maybe wasn't crazy about coming off the bench. Well, he would at Arkansas too, I think. I don't think you bring a Dylan Mitchell in and start him over Trevin Brazil. I think Trevin's your guy, and there'd still be a role to be had there and everything. So that would be something you have to get over. I don't know that Arkansas has even reached out to him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying of the guys that are available here, and we expect at some point Arkansas to round out this roster with another piece or two. Not in a hurry to do it, but at some point they're going to. That's something that would make sense if you're trying to help the team. I'm not talking about just supplement depth or whatever. We'll get into some guys like that, but somebody who could really help you. Another one's Rylan Griffin. This one's been interesting to me. The fact that he's still on the board is crazy. This is a shooter, so it comes as no surprise that Arkansas has not been rumored or involved here because they just don't. I guess they don't care about it. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I just don't get it. But is he really going to morpho back to Alabama? 6'6" wing shooter. Kentucky kind of screwed him over right before his visit by taking Aberdeen, which was a mistake in my opinion. I think Rylan Griffin's the better player. I'm really not sure what there is not to like. I mean, some people call him mid, but I don't know. Like he's started on a Final Four team. He's been to 3 NCAA tournaments. Plus shooter, good size. I'm not saying he would come and be your best player or that he'd be an All-American or an All-League guy, but he's certainly an asset. The dude is good. I'm just really surprised Arkansas never got involved with him. And it's probably too late at this point, even if they tried to, although he's been visited a few places and it hasn't worked out. And now he's talking about going back where he started from, and they might be getting ready Alabama to get Cedric Coward, who is a better version of Rylan Griffin. They take them both. I don't know. How would you guys feel about a Rylan Griffin? I'd feel great about it. It kind of might be exactly what they need, wild stuff. Anyway, I do think that, and I mentioned this at the top of the show, that like the hey, he can help category got a little bit deeper the last couple of days as the portal closed. Guys who can contribute in meaningful ways, not stars, but guys that can help you. Vin Allen Lubin is the 4-man out of North Carolina who was at Vanderbilt last year, beat up on Arkansas a couple times. Honestly, he's pretty darn good. Like he actually could borderline be a guy who would be in that difference maker category. 6'8", 230, athletic, really talented guy, SEC experience, a lot of things there that make sense. I think he would push to start, honestly. Now he says that he's only in the portal to restructure his deal with North Carolina. I guess he was getting paid by a third party, his NIL was. And now with the revenue sharing and everything coming into place, he kind of has to restructure that. Needs to go through the school or whatever. And I don't know that he feels like his whatever he was making would go through the clearinghouse thing if that becomes a, whatever. Fine. None of that would stop me from hitting his line. Okay. And it's not going to stop anybody else. And that's the kind of piece that makes sense at a position where you're lacking on some depth, frankly. To tell you the truth, with all these guys, since the pool of talent didn't get more saturated before this portal closed, it just feels like the bidding wars, the price tags, like they're all gonna go up, right? As the desperation and the fight gets ratcheted up for some of these schools who just, they've missed on guys. They don't have a full roster. They don't feel good about what they have. They're going to have to make some uncomfortable financial decisions, right? Fortunately, Arkansas is not in that situation, which again, I think is why it could be a while before we see something take off for them. They're not going to engage in that because they don't have to, unless it is the guy. The only person that I could see Arkansas really engaging in some kind of bidding war with would be Jameer. Outside of that, they wait it out. We did a whole pod over the weekend with like 15 different, mid-major shooters who aren't going to command a ton of money, who've been in the portal for a month and haven't been picked up anywhere, who could play a role and give you a little bit of a boost there. Those guys are going to be around if you get to that point. If you get to that point where you feel like that's the direction you need to go. So they're in a position to be patient. But what a day for Eric Musselman, right? Good grief. He he lands Rodney Rice, which is a great pickup. The guard out of Maryland. Stories immediately start running wild that he paid him $3 million in NIL. His staff was telling me all day that was insane. And then a few hours later, they lose their best returner, Desmond Claude, who is a really good player. By the way, Desmond Claude is a big fish. 100% qualifies as a big fish. 16 points per game, 4 assists, 3.5 rebounds. He's 6'6" as a league guard, strong. The thing about him is he just can't shoot a lick. Like if Arkansas wanted to bring in Desmond Claude, I would celebrate it. I'd champion him, but I don't think he solves your problems. He can't shoot. I just don't see how you could add another backcourt piece that can't shoot. But boy, it would be funny though. But man, a day that started so good for Eric Musselman kind of ended poorly, right? Because he had a couple guys outside of Claude who left. St. Thomas left. Now, he might be one of those fifth-year guys that have to go back and looking for the extra year of eligibility. But he's not the only one. The Boise State transfer that they had, what was his name? I got it right here. Rashawn Agee. He's gone. So, like, you pick up a great piece, and you know how Muss is. He's already got like 8 transfers, but thought he had some retention coming, and then nope. Lose a couple of your best returners, and now you're just looking at having an entirely new roster again, which is kind of what he does, right? How about Baba Miller? I'm on the Baba Miller train. I really am. In fact, I'm going to switch our graphic back over because he's one of the pictures that I chose for this one. There he is. Mean looking dude. Stretch forward from FAU, Florida Atlantic, who was at Florida State a year ago. So let's just, why not keep the Seminole pipeline going here? Guys, if we're talking about fits, all right, which is what we know is the most important thing for Arkansas, if they're going to add somebody, fit. It's got to make sense. It's got to be the right guy in the right spot with the right attitude, the right skill set. I mean, I can't think of a better one that entered on Tuesday than Baba Miller. Am I overhyping him? I don't know. 6'11", 215, long, athletic, tremendous defender. He's versatile. Averaged 11 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks. Shot at 34% from 3. To me, if you had Baba Miller at the 4 with TB to go along with Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle at the 5, that's a nasty front court. To be honest, that's the kind of stuff you see on Final Four and title contenders. That kind of depth, that kind of talent, that mix of skill sets. I think it would be awesome. He has a long list of suitors, and at the moment, I don't believe that Arkansas is one of them. But man, really good player. If it was me, I'd be all over that. I really would. Gettable. I think he's not going to break the bank to get him. Man, I think he's a good one. That was one of very few on Tuesday that came available where I was like, okay, now we're cooking with something here. But Sean Stewart is another one. This is a late one into the evening from Ohio State. If it's a familiar name, it's because he's a former McDonald's All-American, 6'9", 220 pounds. If you're looking for depth, insurance behind TB that's not going to push to take TB's minutes, then this isn't a bad option, in my opinion. Averaged 5.7 points, 5.8 rebounds in 18 minutes per game. So knows his role, plays his role, gets on the glass. Okay, fine. Not flashy, not sexy, but just a solid body who can help on the boards. I will at least point out to you that with Sean, John Calipari did kick the tires and was in contact with him when he hit the portal out of Duke last year after he came to Arkansas. Cal had reached out to him. So there's at least that precedent there. Will it happen again? I don't know. Is that, one of the kind of pieces that they're looking for? I don't know. But there was something there in the past. So it's at least a name worth us mentioning. He didn't do anything at Duke his freshman year, played more of a role at Ohio State this year. I think he shot like 50% from the free throw line, so I'd throw that in there. But hey, 6.6 boards in 18 minutes. That's something. I mean, if he's going to be a backup guy for you playing, whatever those random minutes are behind TB, or if he's an emergency big or something, that's not too bad. And if we're talking about backup front court players, now we're getting strictly into depth mode, right? Vincey Wachukwu out of St. John's is available. Backed up Zuby all of last year and would have been backing up Zuby again since he's coming back. So he hit the portal, and I don't blame him. 7'1", 250, large human, played 2 years at USC and won there with the Johnnies. Plays, over the course of his career, he's played about a dozen minutes per game, 4 points, 3 boards. He was a highly touted recruit, just never really popped for him. But I think he's kind of just embraced who he is as a role guy there. A guy like that I see as an insurance policy. And I have a hard time understanding why Arkansas sometimes seems hesitant to add something like that. Like, they're in a market for another contributor, and that's great. They need it, I think, but I don't know that I see the harm in adding depth that understands its depth. I know you don't want to have too many mouths to feed. You don't want pouty faces on the bench or everything. But there are guys out there like this, like the last couple guys we talked about, who I think understand exactly who they are as players and are content with that role, who could help you. And, to me, it's like having practice bodies, having foul trouble bodies, having injury bodies, like, whatever you need, all the things you didn't have this year. Somebody like that could really, really come into handy for you if you wind up in a situation like you did this past season. But anyway, let's see. Real quick, a few shooters worth noting. If we're looking at that shooting specialist type there, right, who came available, we've talked about a lot of them. But the late entries on Tuesday, Cooper Nord out of Cornell, Ivy League guy, 6'3", an exciting white, 83s at 42% last season. That's, that'll do. Come in, run off them floppy screens, knock down a couple threes, bust the zone, have a seat and hang out. You know what I mean? Demarion Williams out of High Point. Now, you've already hit up his teammate, Kamani Hamilton. And, with Williams, he's another 6'3" guard, a little bit more athletic, older kid. This will be his 6th year of college basketball, but he gets the COVID year back. Plus, he only played 7 games in one of his seasons. He'll get that one back too. So he'll have 1 more year to play. He's not that dependent on that 5th year waiver thing. A 39% career 3-point shooter. And it's also a guy who does some other things. Like, he contributes a little bit on the glass defensively. It's like 3 rebounds a game, a steal per game. So interesting. And then it won't happen. But hey, former John Calipari commit and signee Travis Perry has left Kentucky. He ain't coming to Arkansas, man. He'll probably transfer down a level, I would imagine, but had to mention it at least because it was funny. Okay. This went longer than I thought. So let's actually save the 5th year waiver discussion and talk about that tomorrow because it's complex. I want to read up on it a little bit more to see maybe where that vote is headed. And I also think it's potentially game-changing with some of the names who are out there, who need that 5th year to get approved to be eligible, but I think this could be a game-changing thing. Like, I think it could basically create a brand new portal window if that wound up getting approved. It'd be crazy. You want to talk about some heavy hitters? I mean, we'll have a segment for that. I think it can serve as a full episode. So we'll do that tomorrow. As for today, man, I wish I had some more exciting stuff for you. Really, really did think on the last day of portal season that we would have some way more exciting and enticing and intriguing and juicy entries there. Just really didn't. And so now I think we're kind of narrowed down to the top target that makes the most sense that we've talked about. And then we're going to have to really get into the weeds and identify some other things for Arkansas as they round this thing out. But it is what it is, and we'll keep on rolling. So appreciate you guys for tapping in as always. Hope you have a good day. Enjoy yourselves out there. Get some sunshine, touch a little grass. That's what I'm going to do. It's getting nice here in Northwest Arkansas finally, and I'm looking forward to that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Inside Arkansas. Find us where you find your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. We'll be back here bright and early in the morning as always. Been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pod to Palace and Inside Arkansas. Catch you tomorrow.